now.
All right, let me get the links up.
And we're back. Another exciting episode, everybody.
Try to restrain yourselves.
Yeah, sorry. My audio is still up over here. How unprofessional.
Pretty bad, man.
It's always something that goes wrong here. Don't mind
we
us.
We need to have at least one mistake per episode, so we got it out of the way now.
Yeah, it should be all good now. So what's going on, Harold Owens?
Same old stuff, man. Hey, just living. Got a little bit more time since I finished this PhD, so that's pretty much it. Life and work. Training, still training. Some arm wrestling.
Good. Still
doing that. Yeah, still hitting the gym. It's a lot easier since I have it here at home. So, yeah, that's what's up.
You know, there's not a lot of arm wrestlers walking around with PhDs, Harold.
Yeah, but we come in all shapes and sizes, you know.
That is very true. That is very true.
So, yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if I'm the first or not, but yeah, in computer science, probably so.
So how did that impact your training, all the schooling you've been doing?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The last, that's a good question there, Joshua. The last 8 years or so, I mean, you just see glimpses of me back and forth. I stayed around the sport. But obviously, that was my priority. I mean, if you're going to do a PhD, you have to focus, right? I mean, you cannot. So arm wrestling was in 07, 08. If you go back and look at the rankings and stuff, I think I was 1 or 2nd in the U.S. or whatever. But once that PhD kicked in, then so at that point, I have to flip that, and I have to focus on those PhD, the exams and things like that, and serious stuff, right? I mean, they don't just hand them out, so you have to focus, and that's where I've been the last 8 years, man. Focusing on that PhD.
So, I mean, like in terms of training for arm wrestling, did it basically completely eliminate it, or were you just doing a little bit here and there wherever you could?
No, I have a team Team Indiana that I train with, so they have kept me engaged. So I still, I may not have attended tournaments, but I was still train the guy. So I was still around on the table. But obviously I was not focused like the Viper mode type of training then. But I was still training, yes.
So you're still conditioned, but you weren't doing the extra, the extracurricular.
You got it.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. You got all the little fine details, each individual finger, that kind of thing. I wasn't doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people who have been around the sport for a little while know that those little tiny details later on, that is what makes or breaks your success.
Got it.
You can be strong.
At that top level.
Right. Those little tiny details are huge results.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like when you literally work in each individual finger, walking up and down weights and things like that, just that stuff, I could tell when I do that, it's just night and day. I mean, it's a big difference. Between being top 30 and top 10, I mean, it's a big difference.
So what are your plans now that you finally have the PhD behind you and that 8 years is in the past? I mean, do you have plans to make a big splash this year in arm wrestling or what?
Yeah, I mean, that's I started powerlifting. I always lift. I always lift. So let's get that straight. So I've been lifting for 24, 25 years. So, but I started to just focus on powerlifting. So that would be my focus. I will do some tournaments, some arm wrestling tournaments. But I do like I normally would do, 8 in a year or 9 in a year. You probably see me do 2 or 3 bigger meets, out there. But my focus would be on the powerlifting.
Has it become like a new love of yours, the 3 main lifts there?
Yes, because I think I'm pretty like raw lifts. I'm pretty decent. I'm targeting 1,700 pounds total at 275. No, under 275. Yeah. Which that's a decent lift. If you got that total. that's a decent lift. So yeah, I'm comfortable there with that. So yeah, it's a new passion for me, definitely.
Which of the three main lifts do you feel like has the biggest benefit for arm wrestling?
Oh, um, any of the pulling lifts, like in terms of back rows. I like back rows. I know that, those pulling, though, any pull-ups,
Mm-hmm.
any of those kind of lifts, seated rows, those things like that. Any with a cheat wrist, obviously with your wrist kinked as much as you can cheat with the weight.
Yep.
That's it right there, man.
Mm.
I mean, you can bench press all day long, you can do all that stuff, but unless you're a presser, that's not going to do much for you.
So when you're training for powerlifting, do you sneak in like those kinds of cheat exercises specifically for arm wrestling, or do you separate the training?
Usually, when I'm training, any chance I get to sneak an arm wrestling move in, I do it.
Mm.
So, but if I'm focusing like on deadlifts, and it's strictly deadlifts. Let's say if I'm deadlifting, I will do double overhand for arm wrestling, obviously. So that actually strengthened my hand doing that movement. Although I still get the same, I can do the powerlifting move, and I can train my hands as well.
Right. And when you were training, when you were 100% focused on arm wrestling, you had the time to do that. Did you have like a training program, or was it more just as much as you could? Or okay, you did have a structure.
No, training, structure program. It worked.
What did that look like after a week of that?
Weekend on the weekend I would do is about 3 hours, 3.5 hours of training, 3 rotations through. I've set up 12 stations basically, and it would take me about 3.5 hours to go through all of the training 3 times. That's when my endurance is extremely high, and it would take me that length of time, and then I would do table time as well in between. So I'm definitely not doing that now.
Yeah, I remember talking with Mike West for quite a while at one point, and we were talking about your training and how there was you were doing a lot of weight training and then going on the table afterwards. Yeah. Did you? How did that make you feel as opposed to what kind of confidence did that bring you when you went to a tournament and you were completely fresh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you don't get tired. I mean, standing up there, the actual setup, you're just really confident. And if you get in a long match, I rarely will lose a long match. Like if the match stops, like Michael Todd is, I know I'm going to win. And and because I have that confidence, because I have that training, if the match goes 12 seconds, I usually win.
Mm-hmm.
But if the guy gets me, hit my hand or something and pin me, that's fine. But if the match was stopped, then they knew it was over at that point.
I remember seeing some video of you and Michael Todd battling at the Arnold.
Oh yeah. Michael, his endurance is extremely high.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You guys would always get you guys getting a minute and a half long matches like a couple times, like 2 matches in a row. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then everybody else is licking their chops, right?
Of course, we've all been there.
Because neither one of us wants to give up, But that's how it was. Yeah. I remember those days, man.
Yeah, and when John and I were talking about back in the day with Jerry Carteret too, you guys had a lot of wars. I mean, you've given all of the big names hell. Harold,
yeah, I've beaten. Yeah, those guys I've beaten before, and they've beaten me. I'm always a threat. I think the top pullers should say, okay, Harold Owens, if he's trained, he's a threat. I'm always you just don't walk in and say it's going to be an easy match for me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a threat always.
I agree. I've seen you pull several times, and it's always, I agree. You are a threat. It's a good way to describe you.
Yeah, it's a threat. It's like he just may win this.
Yeah, he just may win this.
Yeah.
Do you think, is there an ideal amount of table time, do you think? I mean, once a week, once a month? What is your philosophy on that?
We do once a week.
Mm-hmm.
With my training regimen, once a week, but I do believe in giving yourself time to heal.
Yep.
So we do once a week. We do 10 weeks, and once we hit 10 weeks, we take a week off. Like we do nothing. So our regimens are 10 weeks, and that has worked for me for 16, 17 years. So some just go all the time. I can't do it. So I take that 1 week off, and the guys that train with me, they typically are happy Oh, we got a break. So. But then the following week, of course, they pay for it, John.
Yeah. I bet they do. All right, let me get some of these questions in that are coming in for you, Harold. First of all, John wants me to ask you. So I'm going to ask you, how old are you?
I'm 43.
There you go. You're younger than me, man. I'm 45.
That's what I'm saying. I've just been around a sport a long time. That's all. Yeah. So most people have been thinking like Harold is 50, 53. I'm like, no, I've just been around. When you saw me, I started as a young man. I was 18, 19 years old, I think, at the time.
Yeah, so you started back in the 90s then.
Yeah, 90s, 97.
And you took a bit of a break in there at some point, right?
Oh, I did. Yes, that is correct. So I think it was 01 to 03-ish, somewhere in there. I was out at school again, working on a master's degree. And then I came back 03 to 07. I went to town there, and then I took off again the recent years, and I've been just kind of back and forth, but enough to come out and win a national here and there, or a big tournament and go back. But I was never able to, just focus 100%.
Sure. And I remember you got, called back for the PAL there for that match you had.
Right.
I can't remember
with Janet.
Yes.
Janet.
And that was a great match, in my opinion.
Yes.
Off that break from, about 07-ish to when you pulled him, did you notice a big change in anything, like with the sport, or did it feel different, or?
Yeah. Obviously, it's, in, let's say 07, 06, we didn't, we didn't have a lot of guys that were top, like, maybe you could name them. But now, the guys are just coming out the woodworks in terms of strength and things like that. So, it has changed.
Do you think, well, let me ask you this question. I always try to work this in because John loves it. Do you think, how much of it do you think is in relation to, improved training techniques and our understanding of the human physique versus better chemistry?
Oh, it's definitely better chemistry. We have definitely better chemistry. If you just, back 10 years ago, there was supplements, protein. It wasn't nothing like we have now. It was nothing like that. So we've tested that theory. Myself, I'll be open, honest. I've never done anything, man. So, but we've tested that theory in terms of strength. We have an arm wrestling machine. So we put Mike West witnessed this. We put weight on there, and I would try to do whatever weight it is, X amount of weight. We put 2.75 pounds. We have some odd weights on there, and that weight crushes me. But you take it off, and I beat it. We test that theory. So if Joshua, you got that strength. If it's not that much,
right?
And it looks like it. I'm getting crushed. But this guy. So if you can take supplements, I don't care if they're GNC supplements. If they give you a 0.5% of strength, it works. I don't think it's I don't think it's the gym or nothing like that. I think it's definitely the chemistry.
Yeah, we've been having that conversation of how close everybody is at the top level these days. And like with the Truman just beat Pushkar, and Pushkar beat him in the super match before, and these guys, like the amount of difference of pressure is so minute, but it makes it look like crazy.
It's not. That's the thing. Like you take someone like myself. Usually I'm a presser. I can do any of those moves, but press. You set up, say, me and Jerry Cataract, and if he gets in on me, he'll just flash me. But if I get him, I'm gonna flash him.
Right.
Right? It's that press. Or Lars or somebody. These pressers you may think, but his strength is really close, right? It's not like they're like twice your strength. It's not like that. I do not believe that. No man on earth is twice my strength.
Right.
No, exactly. Yeah. If there's 5 pounds of difference, it's insane.
You can't do it.
Yeah, right.
It's insane. We tried it, man. We did it. I tested theory. 2.75 pounds, and it might as well be 1,000 pounds. I could not do it.
So then the question I would have for both of you guys, because we talk about this a lot, Harold, this exact topic and the tiny amounts of increments necessary to start beating people that normally beat you. So say it is a 2.75 pound difference. How do you know what angle to apply it and which muscle groups to work?
That's where you study. Yeah, that now I think your question is, can you beat someone that is 2.75 pounds in a certain angle? Yeah, that takes a lot of studying on the table. I'm really a physics person when it comes to that. So I study elbow placements and angles and test them in the gym and theory, all of that stuff. So that comes from watching video.
Mm.
So you have to watch the video and then tackle that person. And you have to meet them a few times instead of just one time, right? Because one time pulls, I've had guys take my hand and be like, okay, he beat me, but then we pull again, and it's like, and you beat him every time, right? Because you figure them out.
Right.
So that's watching video. You have to watch video of your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having some kind of idea what the angle they're going, and then also just experience of being on the table over and over and over again, getting used to those angles and knowing how to exactly apply them.
Exactly.
You can overcome that 2.75 pounds with 5 pounds of a completely different direction.
You got it. Or just giving that up. Give that piece up and take the rest.
So Mike, that was the first half of my question. The second half is, if you need to, gain another 2 or 3 pounds worth of pressure in a specific angle, is that something that you would train? Like, would you train specifically for an opponent that, beat you a few times and you say, I think he's a little bit stronger than me in this area, and then try to make that one area stronger in your training?
Yes, I do. I would train enough to just neutralize that strength for the match, right? So I would still focus on endurance. So I'm like, I need to stop this person just for a second. And usually it worked. It has worked for me.
Right.
You stop the match, and now let's see what happens.
Exactly. Okay.
Now I can get to work.
Yeah, you can get to work. Now you look at them like, oh, this is a different story. If you can stop the match, right?
I completely understand.
Yeah. Let's stop this match and see where it goes.
Let me get a couple more training questions in while we're on this subject. Craig Soublier is listening in. He wants to know how the powerlifting affects your joints, and specifically, has it affected your arm wrestling competitions?
Yes, I'm not able to do both of them. Joints, yes, very. From my experience, very tough on the joints. So you have to rest up. I do with the powerlifting. I focus on there's intensity, there's max, and there's volume. So I have to alternate between those three. So I cannot do max all the time because it affects your joints, man. I do squats, so heavy squats. Even with the knees wrapped, it is tough on that, and bench as well. Those things there, and I cannot. If I do a heavy bench that week, I'm not doing arm wrestling. I just can't do it. So yes, it does affect my arm wrestling. So I have to pick one or the other, right?
Yeah, I think powerlifting and arm wrestling at the same time. I think you're a pretty special person if you can do them both at 100%. Just because the pulling motions, how hard it is on the elbow as it is, and then pushing too.
You can't. I can't. Yeah.
That's rough.
If I would do arm wrestling, I would have to strictly go into Harold Owens depressor. That's it.
Gotcha. No pulling, just pushing.
No pulling, just push. Just
gotcha.
Just push. Yeah, just crushing arms that way.
If the elbow's gonna fall apart, it's gonna do it one direction, not two.
You're right. You got it. Exactly.
So it looks like you are taking a little bit of interest in WAL events coming up. Is that something you're going to try to do this year?
Yeah, that's what that would be one of my tournaments. I picked 3 tournaments this year. Yeah, I definitely want to get out to a WAL event there for certain.
It's it's interesting because we've watched, and it's it's the same big guys every year that are doing most of the dominating. I mean, there's a lot of great guys there, but I mean, it's Travis, it's Jerry, it's Dave Chafee. It'd be interesting to throw you in the mix and see what happens.
Yeah, that was with me training. I still have a little left in the tank, so I can focus now because the school was just taking up so much time, man.
Right.
But now I can focus, on that, and we see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
My strength is still, people ask like, "Are you strong as you were?" Yeah, my strength is still there, but I have to get on the table though. That's the thing because it's mental. The refs, it's totally different. I mean, strength and table time is different.
Do you feel that their setup benefits you?
Oh, definitely. The fact that you point towards your opponent, your head down. Oh yeah. Oh, that's all right up my alley.
I think people are starting to learn how to operate in it. I mean, Travis demonstrated that this year when I don't know if you saw his match with Jerry, but he was very impressive because he pulled out his own little press to beat him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he was just scared to do it initially. Because you feel Jerry, I mean, it feels like a ton, like he's going to break your arm in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so does like someone like Lars, these pressers that are just massive, strong like that, and they will break your arm if you're not careful. But there's a weakness to that press, and if they got a floppy wrist, you take that, you just dive in on them. And Travis, he did it easy. Mm-hmm. So, but I think Jerry will adjust, Mm-hmm. So he has to now because Travis has figured him out, but he's beat Travis over the years.
Yeah, when somebody has a good press like that and you block their palm with your palm in the way he did and you push against it, you're right. It feels like the world is going to come crashing down your arm until you break through it. And then once you break through, you go, oh, yeah, all right.
I know. That's what, like, it's so intimidating, because it's like they're pressing 270 pounds of pressure, a bench press, and you're like, man, I'm going to back up. And the first thing you do is go outside. Yeah. And that's the worst thing you could do, even for me, because I'm going to come straight. I'm just going to run you out of pad.
Right.
And you're going to run back. And that's what Jerry does as well.
Yeah.
Pressers run you out of pad, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that move, or trying to drag back with a top roll like that. You can't.
That's the worst.
You'll pin yourself. You'll pin. I'm helping you pin me. It's the worst thing you can do. I bet you do.
I love it. Oh my! It's just like, and I just run to the corner of the pad and run you to the back of yours. It's over at that point.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, no, you need to come forward. You need to be, do like Travis did.
Yeah, crowd the center of the table.
So Travis figured it out.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Come to the front.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But most guys think they're doing something. They look good just hanging out in the back, and it's a bad feeling.
All right, here's an interesting question for you, Harold. This is from Patty Woods. She's a female who also uses a press as a primary technique. So she's curious about what exercises you would recommend to be able to stop the initial hit.
To stop someone trying to hit you with the press.
Yeah, exactly. No, if she's trying to do the press, she's trying to prevent people from hitting her out of it, either top roll or hook, I assume.
The secret there with the press, you have to be able to see the back of your hand. Have a way that you set up. So if I'm setting up, you can see that my hand is here. Mm-hmm. If I can see the back of my hand, I'm going to stop your hit. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, the pressers, the refs set you here, right? They're going to flash you, okay? So even if you have to lean over to get the back of your hand, you need to get that. That's what press. That is the secret. You look at Jerry, you look at myself. That's you have to be able to see the back of your hand. So she has to practice that. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they just line up. You cannot get a press from this just your hand like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way, right? It is now I'm ready. Right, because I can see the back, and I'm attacking the angle. I'm attacking you across your pad in an angle this way, not this way, but that way. So initial hit is to drag you back. So she had to practice that, and you're not. Some people think you'll break your arm. That's not. No, it's a different move.
Yeah, so you already have your side pressures already half engaged, and plus that angle kind of allows you to, now you're already using your tricep right away.
Oh, it's fast too.
Right.
Like. But see, somebody like Travis has figured out because Jerry gives his wrist. That's a difference.
Yes.
I won't give my wrist. I won't give that. So that's different. So Jerry probably learned to keep that and don't give his wrist. So now if you come in there, it's just whoever's the strongest win.
Mm-hmm.
But don't dump your wrist, basically.
I mean, honestly, I think the press is the fastest move. People talk about top rolls being fast, but I mean, the press is lightning fast. If you line up,
I beat people so you name them with that press. It is just, it's not even a sec. I mean, it's like this. Snap. It's over.
Yeah, and if you do it right, it's completely devastating to your opponent too. It's just like if we've all been pressed. It sucks.
Yeah, you have to. You're like, what do I do?
It's like how did they come at me and still pin me like that? Usually you got to run away to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it hurts. You're like, dang, I'm not going to do that again.
Patty says that was a huge help, and thank you.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next question here. This is from Elisa. She's curious because of the mix of powerlifting and arm wrestling that you do. Do you do anything in particular on rest days to protect your body, like massage, yoga, extra sleep, supplements, that kind of thing?
Yes. Sleep. I sleep a lot. I mean, when I'm off, because I have to. Like when I lift a lot, eat extremely well. So my regimen is tight. That. As stretches, yes, I do a lot of that. Believe it or not, in the gym. No yoga, but I do stretches in the gym. I have the bands and all that stuff. So I have to stay flexible to do both of those tasks, especially as I get older. I have to stay flexible. In terms of supplement, I tried creatine just to see what it would do. You know what I mean? And it puts water weight on me. I didn't notice strength gains per se. My trainer's like, "Hey, try this," because I don't do supplements. So I tried it for about 8-9 weeks or so. I'm not taking it now, but it put water weight on me. But I don't know about if my strength went up. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I couldn't really tell.
That seems to be, quite a few people have come on the show and said the same thing, Harold, that they took it, they didn't really like how it made them feel, they didn't see any strength gain, so they stopped taking it.
I'm being honest, I couldn't, maybe it was like a half a pound or so, and I don't have half pound weights, but, I couldn't really tell.
Right. Jason Biava wants to know what your favorite wrist training technique is, or at least the one that you think benefits you the most.
Cable pull downs on the table. That means sit your arm on the table and cable, and maybe put a rolling thunder or something like that on and bend your wrist down. Like literally, a lot of guys want to put their arm down on a bench and do heavy wrist curls and all that stuff. No, do it like you're going to arm wrestle and engage those muscles. So it's literally cable pull down, twist, hit. Those are the best, and it's better on your wrist anyway.
Mm-hmm. So simple, but more specific to what you're actually trying to do.
That's it. Basically. What you're trying to do. Yeah. And you're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you said when you talked about your 10-week cycle and then a week break, do you work in how in an average week? Do you save one day for rest, or every other week do you have a rest day? How does that work?
I do 4 times a week working out, and then I do either 3 on, 1 off, and then 1 on, and then 2 off.
Okay.
Or I do all, if I can. The powerlifting, when I'm powerlifting, I do 3 times a week. That's it. And then every other week is 2 times a week. So I alternate between. So I'm doing bench, squats, and deadlifts. Mm-hmm. Squats and deadlifts, usually I cannot do both of those the same week.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But I do, rest is important to me. So rest and my diet is important. That's how I stay in shape.
Mm-hmm.
How has rest changed for you as you've gotten stronger over the years?
In terms of sleeping, you mean?
No, just like time off. Like, I think as people get stronger, sometimes they need
longer.
More. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Yes. So I take longer off. Where used to when I was lighter and wasn't pushing as much weight.
Right.
Yeah, I could. Man, it was when I was like 220, 215. Oh my goodness, I could train twice a week. But now no, because I push so much weight that there's just I can't do it unless you're Superman.
It's interesting you brought up your weight, because Evan Keller was just asking if you can make 225, or is that something you would even try?
No, 225. I can't make it. I walk around 270, 268, 270.
Okay.
And it's just
long road.
Yeah, and I'm not carrying any fat. So right. I've been this weight plus or minus 3 pounds since about 06, 07. And you can go look at my weigh-ins. Mm-hmm. That people tell you, I'm around that weight all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love, if I could be 225.
You'd be a big 225, dude.
Dang, I would love it. I wish I could. Somebody got a secret that I could get down to 225. Oh my goodness. Oh, that'd be nice.
The secret is pain. That's what it is, man.
Maybe 242.
Yeah, 242 might be at least more reasonable.
Yeah.
Here's another question. He wants to know what your opinion is on the bracketed system as a ranking. As a ranking system versus, the series of super matches that. WAL is definitely focusing on ranking and brackets, and then Vendetta that you were a part of recently focuses on the super match. Do you think one format is more of a true tale of the skill of an arm wrestler than the other, and do you have a preference over which one you like more?
If I have my preference would be super match format, best of 6. I think that says who's the best there. Bracketed point system like drag racing or racing or something like that. Yeah, I mean, the person still has to be good to be ranked. So do not take that as an insult there. But I like the one-on-one format.
Yeah, it takes too many variables out. You know what I mean? Like with the one-on-ones, anything that could happen, like a weird match or a bad starts or elbow foul. Like, you never know who's going to move on or who's going to get left behind because of something strange and one-on-one stuff.
Yeah, in a tournament. I mean, I've had where you're in a tournament and you get called for the moving in the ref grip, and it's the other person, but you get fouled out, and you're the best person there, and you're like, oh my goodness, right? And there's nothing you can do, and then somebody else go on to win the tournament. There's nothing you can do. Right. But a super match, no, that wouldn't happen. It'd be like, okay, I lost this one, but the next one, you're mine.
Yeah, the super match is a great equalizer in many ways. I mean, for people like you and John who are endurance pullers, you guys have it's great for you anyway. But secondly, say you do get pressed by somebody, but it was a surprise and you feel like you're more powerful than them, you can adjust. And give them a better challenge instead of just, like you said, you get pressed once and you're done.
Right.
So it's definitely, I think it's a truer test. I mean, we've talked about this a lot of times, Harold, and I kind of like the idea of doing a tournament format to isolate the top 4 in each weight class and then doing a series of super matches to determine who's the best amongst those groups.
Yeah, now that mixing them both. I like that ideal there, Joshua. So you get down to the top 4, then maybe they do the best of 3, which they do that at some tournaments, Say, okay, you're going to pull the best of 3.
Yep.
Instead of just one match.
Yeah. I mean, I think the WAL has sort of talked about that might be something they're planning on doing. They keep saying it. They did the one-off super matches. I think it was like a month or two after their last finals, and everybody was trashed, so it didn't go that well. But it'd be interesting if they decided to, keep the tournament format that they're doing now, which takes place over like 4 months, and then for the remaining 8 months of the year, do super matches between the top 4. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, because I think so too. They do that in the tournament now, where the finalists do pull in super match format. But really, to have any kind of true test of who's the actual who's the man, you have to do it on a different time. Because by the time you get to the final 4 in a good bracket,
your arms are shot. Yeah, exactly. It's just whoever has the best endurance. That's wins, or if there's such thing as an easier path, that person, whoever's have the fresher arm will. Should do better. Because
we all know that there's people who battled and killed themselves to get to that top 4, and then there was somebody who laid down because they knew that one match would be too tough.
That's the thing. But if you put them in a super match format,
no laying down now.
You can lay down. I will take the victory.
Please, yeah. I won't argue if they do.
I won't argue with Vignette. I'll take it. I'm like, yes, he laid down. I won. Yeah.
So. Usually, with bigger arm wrestlers, Harold, endurance is a weakness. What do you think it is about, your training or genetics or what have you that makes it something that you excel in?
Because I train it. Okay, that's I'm leaving the 3 aspects of my training: power, strength, and endurance. So those aspects I train differently. So I will, as I powerlift now, no, I'm just focusing on strength and power. But endurance, when I'm in endurance shape, 1 week is just strictly endurance, where I literally hold the weight as long as I can. I take 225 or 235 and rep it as many times as I can, 3 sets. I target those things, so you have to work on that. And I've done that from the beginning of my training regimen. So I'm sure there's some genetics in there, but my regimen is if you come to my gym, I show it to you. There it is. And you say, okay, yes, that he works on endurance, that aspect of strength training.
So when you walked into the sport, you didn't really feel like your endurance was anything special as compared to anybody else?
No, not at the time.
Yeah,
but
I didn't.
I figured out was like, okay, endurance, it pays. I mean, you look at somebody like Michael Todd. If he stops the match, if he can stop it, he doesn't lose. Right? I mean, it's rare.
Right, it's very rare. I mean, Trubin figured him out a little bit. But
with the press, with the press,
exactly. That's the first person
that has figured them out. And I would say, take the strap and put it tight.
Yeah, sure.
Then we'll see what happens. Sure. Then it may be a different story.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, when you talk about tight strap too, I know that there was a lot of complaints about the strap not being tight as it could be and all that because I was actually there for that match. I saw it live.
Were you? Okay.
It was a lot of fun to watch. It was an awesome match, but. you get two guys who are strong enough, that strap is going to loosen up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
Those two
what I
guys
want
are
to see.
strong.
Because if Michael stopped that freaking match, it is a bad day. I hate that. I'm like, dude, lay down, Michael Todd. He won't do it.
Yeah.
It's like it's going to be bad.
I love that about him. I mean, like he pulled his lat on his left side and he had a huge bruise all over him, and then he pulled his pec on his right side and he was bruised.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. He still went and he still competed. Almost everybody else would have said, "Oh no, I can't compete. I'm injured," but he went and did it anyway, which I think is really impressive. I love that about him. Tim Breslin is another guy like that who doesn't.
I love Tim.
Tim. He will always pull anybody, and he doesn't make excuses. I like that attitude. Yeah. And it's good to see. Talk about these straps, Harold. We got another question here about do you have a specific strap technique that you prefer, or how do you train in them, and do you have any advice for people training in the straps?
Yeah, I mean, the straps is a different. You need to train. We actually set up for the strap. We actually train to set up in the straps, and yes. So usually the WAF rule, you cannot take. They'll do 2 fingers and that's it.
Yeah.
So they will not put it. A lot of time, you see people are down here. You cannot do that. No, I think it's just an inch or so lower. But you need to train it. With that strap, and I like to train. Actually put the strap around my wrist and hang weight from it and pick it up off the ground. I mean, you need to get used to that pressure on your wrist, because if you're top rolling and you don't feel that pressure there, then you're not pulling right in that strap. So just train that way. And what I mean is take the strap and just wrap it around your wrist, drop it, and pick up the weight like a hammer curl.
Yeah, that's probably some of the best advice you can give just, newer arm wrestlers, especially, because I think there's a lot of arm wrestlers, even ones who are pretty damn good, who don't even know how to pull in the strap. They just don't use it. They just hold each other's hands, and that's it. Yeah.
But you take Travis Bagent and see what he does in the strap. Yeah, he's going to take full advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most people don't. I don't think people know how to pull from this part of the strap, which is the best leverage. You got it,
exactly. That's the best leverage. So you need to train that. You can do that multiple ways. You can take a strap, wrap it around your wrist, pull a cable, just back, and you get used to that, and then get on the table and you just pull back and work. So you have to specifically work these angles. I mean, pullers get on the table and go crazy and just hit. No, you need to. I believe in the science of it. I mean, if you're gonna pull a certain way, then practice that.
Mm-hmm. So do you think? How often do you end up in straps? First of all,
not a lot. Typically with floppy wrist pressers, Jerry, Lawrence, those guys like that. Yes, but typically not, because I can control my opponent's hands. It doesn't matter who it is. It's excellent top roller. Typically, I don't have any issue, but sometimes I go in a strap for a reason too.
Oh, sure. So. And I don't think most people realize, Harold, how big your hands are.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. People, yes, I haven't met anybody with hands longer anyway in the league. I mean, I haven't, and I've been in the sport a long time, but most people, it's an illusion, I think.
Sure.
They think they look and they have no clue. They don't know, the size of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but when they grip up, they're like, "What the heck is this guy?" He's my hand, So, my hands are very large.
Yeah. So, do you think that works to your advantage, or do you think it plays no role?
Large hands, it does play a role in terms of hand control. But if we're in a hook, no, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I pull John Brzezinski, he knows how. I mean, he knows exactly how to attack that. So you take that away, You take that away, then go wrist to wrist, and there's no longer that leverage is there.
It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
We talk about it almost every week because some people are constantly asking. There's various people who are extremely dominant with all different hand sizes, and it's like you use the tools that you have, and you figure out how you get the most out of them. And if you have a small hand, you do things differently than perhaps you would if you have a very large hand. But I think you're right, Harold. That people that are skilled enough and strong enough and technical enough can find a way around either type of hand. It's not as big of an advantage as people think it is.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. I don't think so.
I think if anything, it's more paralyzing to people that aren't quite familiar with how to attack. They feel like, oh no.
There's an intimidation factor.
If you're saying oh no and you're gripping up with me, it's over.
I love that. Hey, I don't do it, but I love when somebody does it. Hey, his hands are And by that time, the ref is like, ready, go, it's over. And I walk away, but like, winner.
Good luck thinking your way through the match.
Oh, man.
So we got Denise Tullier and Donnie Milner both checking in, saying hello. Just saying hi and wish you well, all that kind of stuff.
All right.
Jamie Sheldon just brought up an interesting point about the WAL ranking system, and what you brought up also, John, which is the super matches at the end of the day, is that their ranking system counts your losses. So if you make it to the finals and you lose that super match, you actually have more losses than everybody else in the bracket, and you end up moving down the rankings significantly as a result.
That's weird.
Now, wait, but are those losses, are they weighted?
They are weighted.
Okay, so
equal weight.
You won't.
Yeah.
They're weighted differently, so you don't go all the way to the bottom, but it definitely affects you. So, I mean, for example, the third and fourth place person will probably be ranked higher than you if you got second and then lost, twice to Todd Hutchings or what have you.
But I don't like that. I think they need to tweak that.
Yeah.
I think they need to tweak that, right?
Well, Jamie pays very careful attention to the rankings. I don't know if you notice. He's always putting, I'm 19th now. Now I'm in 20th, and he didn't do anything. It just goes up and down.
I don't pay attention to the rank. I just go and pull, and whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens. Well, I'm going to guess that you're going to be up pretty high in the rankings in WL this year if you go through with those tournaments.
I'm back now. I'm good.
So Denise wants to know if you're going to be at Arnold's this year.
Yes, that is my plan. I've got my hotel, so my plans is to be there. Now depends on how I feel. Like I power lift. I kind of got a slight tweak in the shoulder. You know what I mean, right? So I'm just kind of playing it by ear, but I'm still training for it. So but I will be there regardless.
Do you pull both hands, Harold? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, I do. Yes,
yeah,
I pull both hands.
Okay, I remember. I remember you pulling both hands on the after table at Triple A's in Buffalo a couple years ago, but I didn't know if you competed.
Yes, I do.
Which one's your dominant hand?
Typically left, but the right. When we first started off back in the day, no one had left-handed tournaments, so it's like my right got good because that's what we pulled with.
Yeah.
But typically, if I train, my left is definitely dominant.
Yeah, I remember you were making a run towards Travis when you first came back.
Yes, when I first came back, I sure was.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So who's in your sights? Like, do you have people that you're targeting, so to speak, for this upcoming year?
I don't know. Anybody in that top 15 is a target. That's run. I mean, you got Travis, you got Cataract, you got Todd. I mean, you got who else?
Ryan Espy right now, left-handed.
Yeah,
Ryan
that's right.
lefty, yep.
Espy has came. I thought he had retired. Retired or something, but I guess not. So his left is there. Even Eric Waffel, I think his left.
His left's always decent. Good. Yeah.
He's got a decent left. I see that him and Travis there. So his left. So those are the guys that I know left-handed.
I think Sean Latimer is coming on.
Oh, that's right. Not forget Big Sean Latimer. Yeah, big.
He's coming on the show next week.
500 pounds of him.
Yeah,
I think he's like 450 or so.
He's a big fella.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he is.
He wasn't at WL this year, but I think he's coming on next week. We're going to ask him if he's going back, but that'd be fun. I was actually really impressed, Harold, with how Jerry did lefty. It's a long time since I've seen him compete lefty, and he basically smashed almost everybody up into Travis.
He's got that, but he pulls the same way with that floppy wrist.
Exactly the same way. Exactly.
That's it, and it's just awkward to pull him. I mean, he's him and Lars are about the only two that I know in the world that pull that weird way, and it's going to be bad because it's just unorthodox. It's just it's just like you're in for a fight with that. And if
that's the beauty of styles in this sport that are different. I mean, the ones that you like, I would never teach a new guy to pull like that. You know what I mean? You just never would. But when they develop like that, they're hard to stop just because nobody knows how to defend that stuff.
They beat people because you don't. What do you do with it? I mean, it's just come in, crush you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those two are definitely bad.
Guys with styles like that, like Anthony Snook or those kind of styles where Anthony dips down super low. He looks shorter than everybody else. He's 6'3", and then he completely dips his hand down, completely squares up to the table, And like you would say, don't pull like that. Stand up, get tight.
Right.
No. He'll do fine.
It works. Yeah. It worked. Yeah.
Yeah,
worked.
those awkward styles, they'll get you so far. I mean, and Anthony's strong too. But
Yes.
those kind of styles, like you said, what do you do with it? If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not really, really well versed in the sport, you're gonna go for a ride really quick.
Yeah, it's so different that you just don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Yeah, we have a local guy up here who's just chiming in here, Nick Huck, and he gave Storm Chelino a little run for his money that first match. It's amazing to me, if you don't know the press is coming, how much success people can have with it the first time they go up against somebody even at an elite level. Which is unique because you can't do that with a hook or a top roll. A press is one of those techniques that if you do it properly, you can really get a lot of surprise and a lot of movement, even against excellent people.
Even if it's just a bad move. I mean, I pull pressers, so I'm comfortable with pulling pressers. But I know it hurt. It's just going to be bad, It's just like, please, why are you doing this? Like, can you pull a different way,
So, what about your elbows? I mean, why aren't your elbows torn apart from doing all this pressing for so many years? What do you think it is? Do you think some people just have
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
So like a congenital thing that you guys have elbows are structured differently. The architecture in there is different. That allows you to
I think it's anatomical. I think it's part of the makeup because I have not had issues with it. People are like, you're gonna hurt your arm, but no, it's doesn't bother me at all. People are like, it doesn't hurt your arm. It doesn't. Yeah, I think it's some genetics definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think that all that endurance training really helps stabilize it as well?
Definitely.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think when you have all that, repetition, and I think what you do eventually is you build a pretty solid and sturdy joint, as opposed to
definitely
super hard movement. Stop. That's okay. I'm done. I'm strong now. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what people think they can do, and it's like, and that's risk. You risk injuries that way. And I should say, a lot of endurance movements with the right form, right?
Sure.
So
of course.
There's a question on here about since you're going to be. It looks like you're focusing more on tournaments with WL and stuff. Will you adjust the way you train as in contrast of getting ready to pull a specific opponent?
Yeah, I will. I mean, I would definitely have to do that. But just actually getting out to these tournaments, basically, and seeing how to pull those styles of tournaments. With the close your thumbs. They step back, close your hands. I'm done. And they said go. Which I love. That's perfect for me because I always get called for taking off early. It's like so. I think it'd be good for me. Because when it say ready, go, it's like the ref will call like you're going there early, so I have to hold back.
Yeah.
So now it's like it's just a go. So thank you.
And there's all kinds of pressure being applied and wrist carving in and everything before the go too. That also falls right into your style.
Right. You got. If they want to do this.
Yeah.
Oh man, please do that, Joshua. Please come that way.
Yeah, exactly.
How does your mentality change from a tournament to one-on-one?
Yeah, like when I pulled Janet, that was now. I mean, I wasn't out that long, but I was a bit rusty. I mean, that was more elbows. I was able to flash them a few times. A couple times. Just. But one-on-one is different. I mean, my mindset is it's a total different focus.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled in Supermatch. I pulled. Remember Bob Schaefer? He was ranked like 4th and 3rd in the country at the time. And I pulled him both hands. Yeah, another good press and end up beating him. No, he got me, I think, both hands the first match. And then I was able to adjust and beat him there. So I'm good with Supermatch, but I'm really focused with a Supermatch. Because it's you may get me one time, but if I can stop the match and tie you up, I'm going to win on endurance.
Mm-hmm.
So your focus maybe more goes towards like maybe patience than it is to just get it over with, kill them. All right, yeah.
That's exactly. If we get into a match, the first one, and then their arm is blown, and I'm sitting here like there's no blood in my arm at all.
Yeah, I hear that. I like that. Yeah, I love when I have a long first match and a super match, and I look across the table and they're doing this.
Yep.
I'm like, yes.
And I'm
keep
like,
it up there and there. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, I think, there's a few people, and there's a very few people that really make endurance their focus. Devin Lorette and Matt Mask, both of you guys. I mean, I do it to a lesser extent. I'm doing twice a week table time, and I feel like that's, especially for me, I feel like it does help with the endurance, but it's not something that most people focus on. They tend to, people really put a lot of attention towards explosive power and, trying to just dominate people and hope that gets them through tournaments by having quick matches. And so I like this other philosophy. It does stop. You're right. And that's why your philosophy.
Then you need to, let's say, so who's push guard is a fast hitter.
Yeah.
But if he gets stopped, then I don't think his endurance is high. It's not disrespect, but I say his endurance isn't high enough. Because if he had endurance, he will win. But his hit is hell. I mean, it's coming. He comes out the gate. Yeah. Like hit is like,
it's exact. That's the thing about that's the thing about Pushkar. His hit is exact. It goes to the same exact place, the same exact direction.
There's nothing you can do. You can't do nothing with it. It's the same move 100% of the time.
It's accurate.
But if he gets stopped, then he have trouble there.
Yeah, and the thing is when you're talking about one-on-one or tournaments, but really one-on-one, it's magnified a little bit. That you get stopped once you have that hard match, it just bleeds into everything else. And good luck recovering for some of those guys.
You can't. 1 minute, a minute rest, a minute and a half rest. That's not. You don't have time that you can shake your arm all day long. But it's over. John. It's over at that point.
Mm-hmm. I think that the endurance aspect is overlooked, and it's a mistake, especially as tournament gets harder and harder, and more good people start participating in the WAL, because they're adding more countries every year, so the quality level is going to approach WAF standards more and more. And of course, WAF tests at their Worlds event, and WAL looks like they're going to start testing, but they haven't as yet. So there's really no limit.
When you say testing, you mean test for
drugs, steroids or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
then that's a perfect. Then good.
It is.
Yeah,
it is perfect.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how it works out.
Because it will. I mean, you don't get endurance through steroids. It's not something you gain, but you do gain explosive power. So if they do start testing, it's really. I mean, depending on how thorough they are with it and how if they're going to start testing everybody who places, for example. I mean, that could have potentially, obviously this is speculation, but it could have a massive impact on the standings and, who's in what position, and if that happened, then endurance is going to become even more powerful and more potent at a tournament like that, I think.
Joshua, you hit something right, the nail right on the head. You go back when I first started, that's why I focused on endurance, because it was an endurance sport. Mm-hmm. Before people just got so powerful, they just it didn't matter your endurance; they just pull you down. Mm-hmm. But that's how, I do believe you'll shift the focus back to the late '90s, early 2000s, where you need endurance.
Mm-hmm. There's also just something great about the idea of endurance, because in any sport, to develop endurance, it's just like hours and hours and hours and hours of work. More so than any other attribute. It's just something you have to really commit to, and it's slow. Your gains are not as noticeable as they might be when you're doing just explosive stuff, but the results are lasting. You tend to lose endurance much more slowly than you do strength. So you keep it, you build it up over your lifetime, and it's something that stays with you to a certain extent.
Yeah, people always get asked that question about my endurance. I went to the AAA Nationals I think it was this year, and I pulled both master classes. I pulled both open and placed in all of them. Won the masters, and it was decent classes, and then placed second and third in the left and right hand there as well. People, I tell them that's endurance, and then these are two separate days. Yeah, and guys are fresh, so you train that endurance, you're fine. Like I train like that compared to someone else who there's no way. There's I can't pull that many. 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Do you think
that kind of endurance would help with a tournament like the Arnold's? Like if you were to make it to the second day.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think there are some guys who make it to that second day who could win the whole thing, and they get to the second day and they can't pull like they could the first.
And some, they be like, "Man, I wish I could have pulled yesterday."
Oh yeah,
yeah. I love it though. Because I always end up, in the top four anyway. Yeah. I rarely not placed there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2-day tournaments definitely suit you.
Right, and I do well at them. So,
Let's see. Get some more questions here. It's from Jeff Dabe. He was an interesting question. How much of an effect do you think the ref has on setups? And let me add on to that question after you answered. I mean, do you try to gain a certain amount of knowledge about refs so that in terms of strategy planning for matches, if you know who the refs are going to be?
I should say this live, but yes.
Nobody in particular, though.
No one in particular, but yes. Okay, yes. Yeah. All right. I mean, the refs is an influence in the match. I mean, they're gonna set it up fair. Their job is to set up the match fairly, right? But I've learned not to fight the ref. I mean, I go up. Typically, I think the refs will say Harold doesn't fight a lot. So I go up and get my. If you do that, then you typically get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to fight the refs, I've been there. You're not going to. I mean, they're going to come down stronger on you, right?
Yeah.
They're going to watch you closer. You're like, we both elbow foul, but they see your elbow foul. I'm smart, right? I shouldn't say that because now the refs will be like, oh, he's playing us, but hey, it is part of the game, man.
It is. Man.
I think they appreciate it because they're doing 150 matches in a day or whatever, and they don't want somebody giving them a hard time at match number 162.
Yeah, usually I just line up and they say close. They rarely have to say wrist, but then you get what you want.
Right.
So
definitely do it, man.
Are you interested? First of all, I don't know if you've been to Worlds or not. I don't know if you have, but is that something that's on your radar?
Now, yes, definitely. You will see. Even with my powerlifting, I will. Attend those events now because I'm free. I mean, I have nothing else but better to do, man.
I would love to see you go to Budapest.
Yeah.
What WF tournaments have you attended, Harold? I know you have. Correct.
You mean Worlds?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You haven't.
I've never been to. I qualified and was going to go in. What year was that? 03. I was in 01, I think. I was in the military. I didn't make it back in time enough. I did, but I didn't make the weights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, well, the USAF is in Lake Tahoe this year in April, and then the Worlds is going to be in Budapest, which is an incredible city. And I think you should go. You enter
USAF
Masters then open.
It's in April. It's in April.
Yeah, it's first. I think it's like the 8th of April in Lake Tahoe, and as I said, Budapest is the host of the Worlds this year, and it's supposed to be an incredible city. And I mean, you'd be the kind of guy that you could do a lot of damage both in the Masters and the Opens. It'd be fun to see, man.
All right. Okay.
And it's like there's like 1,600 competitors there. They have 8 tables going on.
Wow.
It's really an incredible event. You get to face off with the Russians and Georgians and Latvians and Ukrainians back to back to back.
And they don't know how you pull, and you don't know how they pull, and I think that's an advantage.
Yeah, it's really, and it's extremely fair. It's very well reffed. I mean, it's extremely tight reffing. So I think you would really like that style as well. I mean, a WAL I think will be great for you too, but it would be cool to see you go to Budapest. So I'm just adding things to your agenda for the year.
Don't worry,
Harold. Get me back into it. Hey, honestly, I mean, I got the time now, man. So it's good for me, but bad for the competition. So
let's see. Another question here: do you develop, or do you have any techniques that you use to develop fast twitch for your hit? This is coming from someone who says they have a slow start and they're not really that great at hitting.
Yeah. When I'm training cleans, like power clean and jerks, those things, movements like that, that's what you need to do. I tell the guys who are slower, I do train some, that the fast twitch, that's genetics, I think, but I do think you can improve that probably, 15, 20%. And those movements, the only way I've learned to improve that over the years by training, this is years of training, is like power cleans, clean and jerk. Those are the same movements that you need to be able to use speed to move the weight. It's not power, it's the speed. So if you can get that weight moving like that, that's what I should do.
Do you think dead loading is a good way to do that as well? Do you think?
When you mean just
in the start, just
start. Yeah, typically I don't load at all unless I'm pressing. But even then I don't load. So yes, that. But you still have to practice it.
Mm-hmm.
Dead load, it does help. But you need to practice the weight movement and get your body used to that jerk.
Mm-hmm.
It is your nervous system needs to fire off. It knows what that is.
How much do you think lack of hand strength affects speed as well?
So you're saying if the person just doesn't have hand strength,
Yeah, if their hand is the weak link, do you think that affect their strength as well, or their speed?
Yeah, because it's one movement. Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of newer guys, and even some not so newer guys, they're a little slower if they don't have the hand strength because they feel like they can't hold on. So you're probably not going to fire if you don't think you really have any control over that person's hand. Mm. I think, some hand strength can help with speed as well.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely not. Newbies. I say if I use that term, newbies, but they tend to just grip down really tight. That slows you down. So just as Josh was saying, I don't. If you grip up with me, you'd be like, this guy's hand is weak. You know what I mean? Right? But I'm not gripping you. I'm not. You won't feel me squeeze it on your hand.
Yeah.
I don't. I just close it, nice and soft. But then when they go ready, I clamp at that point. When it's time. So yes, so you're right. But that transition takes practice. I mean, that's very difficult.
Yeah.
So my thing would be power clean, do cleans and jerks off the floor, lightweight. Also, another thing is throw 20 pounds or 15-pound dumbbells from hand to hand. That would definitely do it. So you would need to get used to catching those things like that.
It's an interesting topic. I mean, as a biologist myself, I always think about, we compare martial arts to, like crane style, snake style, tiger style, that kind of stuff. And when you think about animals that have tremendous grips, either like alligators or crabs or whatever, they don't walk around. They just go from 0 to 60. So they're not flexing beforehand. They just go, and it works for them. So it should work for us too.
Excellent point, man.
You know what I mean? So it's almost. Let's see. Badger Drews wants me to tell you hello. He calls you an old timer here, but I think he's gotten you by a couple years, Badger. No offense. And also another point you made, Harold. We had Corey Miller on a few weeks back, and he's obviously known for his speed, and he said the same thing you did, that he feels he never trained speed and that it's primarily genetic. But he did say that he felt that you can improve it, some percentage.
Some percentage. I tell the guys, and this is just from training other people, so it does improve, but it is genetics, that explosion.
Yeah, and I think that style of pulling, dead loading, does take a great deal of confidence, because
it does.
You're used to people squeezing as hard as they can, and everybody's going to feel like they're stronger than you, so it's a little mental boost for them. So you have to have a great deal of confidence in your technique and your strategy in order to use that. And I think that is one thing that stops people from doing it, because especially if you have a really strong hand, you're used to getting a little intimidation factor by squeezing as hard as you can.
No need to do it.
Yeah.
Well, just nice and soft and take off.
That's a consistent thing, Harold. I mean, week after week, we have guys saying exactly what you're saying. It's like, I don't waste my energy squeezing. I get up there, I just, like you said, close my hand, and then on go, I explode. Like someone just described you as a cowboy who just shoots, basically. That's a good way. That was from Donnie Nolan. That was a good comment. It is.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, I'm coming out the gate. So, and when I'm on, I'm definitely on.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, Harold, but when someone gets up to the table with me and they want to really load up and get real aggressive with the grip, I view it as that's just something I can manipulate out of that person.
Right. If that's what you're going to do, I just like walk away.
Yeah, no problem.
Ref grip. I mean, ref grip, and that's one of my things. They be like, "Harold, is in another ref grip." It works.
Yeah, I mean, I figure if someone needs to get really aggressive off center of the table, all that stuff, if you want to start there, I'm not going to let you start there. So automatically you're going to be uncomfortable. So
right.
No problem. I'll play that game.
Point. Yeah, excellent point.
No problem.
And then go in a ref grip, and the ref set us up like a bricks, flat. And now you're uncomfortable because you don't like that, and I'm ready to take off.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Goodness, guys.
So we have someone saying here that they are a big believer in plyometrics, as a developer for speed. Have you ever tried that, or do you have thoughts about it in terms of?
Do they mean the bands?
It just said plyometrics, so I would assume bands. I mean, that's how most of us use it.
I use the bands. Yes. So I I do that as well. So the bands, light bands though. Some guys get these thick, crazy size bands, but literally sit at the table if you can do this. This is, I would say, start off with like 10 hits, ready goes, ready goes, ready go, ready go. This where you literally light band and you hit and you pin. You have to practice that. I mean, your abductors, all of that stuff has to work in unison. I mean, it has to be one. So you have to practice it. So yes, I do believe the bands work. I'm a, like I say, athlete. So I have that stuff in the gym. Yeah, bands around. So definitely.
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, that's something that a lot of you guys do, more elite pullers, and I think that personally, I usually make the mistake you just mentioned, which is using heavier bands than I should.
No, it's why?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally the light. It's the twist. You're trying to get the nervous system to fire. That's what you want it to happen. Nervous system. When I say go, send me energy so I can take off, and you're used to it. At that point, the nervous system doesn't care how strong it is. It's not. You just need to move.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So you need to send a signal.
I like that imagery. That makes sense. It resonates.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, the muscle memory and all that kind of stuff plays into it for sure. And I think that if you're used to blasting through a, weaker strap that enables you to do a full hit, that's also a mental advantage because that's what you're used to. That's what you expect to happen.
That's it. That's what it is. It's mental, man. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that comes back to every sport, but I feel like in this sport, I mean, we've all seen someone who is better and is stronger just get shaken up in whatever way, pulled out of their game a little bit and then just collapse.
Right, you see that, right? And this guy is stronger, but it collapsed because it's mental too as well. So
that's probably a lesser known aspect of our sport, and some people really specialize in getting people out of their comfort zones. I mean, Mike Solaris comes to mind. He drives a lot of people nuts, but he really gets you out of your space. You know what I mean?
You have to just don't focus on them. Travis,
Travis,
Mike, Celiers, those guys they're good at that. Where the mind games are there. You have to just stay focused.
So you talked about this a little bit earlier, but do you have? You talked about some of these exercises. I mean, the question here is, do you have a preferred back pressure exercise? The person. He's talking about rows and pull-ups, and you talked about those earlier, and also pulley work. But do you first of all, you train a lot of back pressure?
Yeah, I do. I do. My back pressure, I typically come from heavy tricep bar curls. If you know what I mean, like hammer curls, those back pressure there, with the pressure on the wrist, with the pressure on the hand, like slide the bar and have it touching your and then lift. That's one way, and then also with the a towel or strap across the knuckles, flat across here, with the weight dangling here to those curls. So yes, I do work on back pressure, and that and again, you have to do that if you want to get better at back pressuring your opponent, which is good, which is basically a post or top roll. It's really a post, really, but. Somebody like Robert Redden used to do that move, but if you want to do that, you need to work on that movement, right? Work on that movement.
How much of that movement do you think is the front delt as well?
Oh, it's a lot. So when you do that curl, you have enough weight, you take it over your head as well. So typically, I say typically, no, I curl it, and on the last set, I literally lift it up over. So yeah, it's a lot, obviously.
Yeah, I think I think that's where a lot of people really make a mistake when they try to post. And they kind of don't understand, I can't really lift too much with my bicep. It's drop down a little bit and push up.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes, and that's it. But you need to train that way again. Yes. You take that weight, you pick it up, and then you push up, right? You train the way that you're going to pull on the table. If you don't do that, it's useless, right? I mean, you can bench press all day long, all this crazy stuff. It doesn't translate, man.
Yeah. Posting is another topic in arm wrestling that we touched on it a little bit, but I think that in general people don't understand what posting is and how to use it properly and when to use it. I mean, I found that at least to be true around here. I mean, people even don't even have the same definition of what posting is.
Well, if you want to look at somebody who was good at the, Robert Redden was back in the '90s. He was notorious for that post. I mean, It is literally, it's not a top roll. The hand stays flat. If you can see my hand, and this pressure here, I pull straight back. It is very difficult to beat because they open your hand just enough, then walk you over. I mean, just straight back and just a flat. And it's not their wrist is not bending. It is flat. It is straight like this, and it's very difficult to beat when somebody. But most people, it's so old that people just don't do it. I don't know anybody.
Yeah, people.
I don't know any posters.
Dave Patton was a great posting top roller.
You got it, Dave Patton. So yes.
When I started in the late '80s, it was a huge move. I mean, Mickey Butkus was the guy who was in my class.
Yes.
Yeah. And he used to trash people with it, and it was just like, we didn't really know how to approach it, and that back then everybody was doing it, and then it fell out of favor for whatever reason, So I think when we talk about it today, it's not a move that you see too much.
But it's a deadly move.
It is a deadly move.
It's hard to stop.
Yeah, it's like the top roll transition to a press, like that Trubin's bringing back. Where'd that go? And all of a sudden it's come back. I love that move. And then nobody does it anymore, and then nobody can defend it.
But you look.
Okay, Josh, you do it.
I wish you could find like my post years ago when I was talking about pulling, say, even Mike Todd or anybody that pulls that style. It's like you must come in, you turn, and you fall in. I mean, that's opponent's hands must be turned upward. Once you turn it up to the ceiling, then you just fall in.
I love
you literally fall down.
I love transitions. I think it's a fascinating aspect of sport. I mean, it reminds me of jiu-jitsu when I did that. If you want to move from one move to another, you have to maintain the exact same pressure throughout. Otherwise, you leave an opening and someone will rip you back.
That's right.
It's the same thing in our sport. So that's why I love transitions. I think that's why people don't try them, because you have to learn how to move while maintaining your muscular tension, and that's challenging. But it's definitely doable, and I personally feel like a top roll is a wonderful position to transition from, because I think it's
from a top roll to a press, or
exactly.
From a like if I'm in a long hook match, the press it's going to come in. I would transition from that hook right into that press without losing ground.
The press is always there.
The press is always there if you know how to do it.
Right. I mean, the first few times I tried it, my arm felt like it was going to blow apart. But over the course of a couple of years, just doing it over and over and over again, it's now gotten to a point where it's a move I can use. It's not like yours, not like Jerry Cadaret's, but I mean, I can use it to finish matches. I wouldn't necessarily start.
Well, that's the best way. I mean, it's as long as you can finish a match with it. A lot of guys get out there and they just hang forever, and it's like transition.
Yeah, right.
I used to make that mistake all the time, man.
Just dangling out there looking good.
Yeah, and then people yell, and they yell at you from the crowd, press or transition, and eventually I start to listen, and I'm not sure when that happened, but I mean, I do learn things. I might be old.
It's like, come up, press, finish it, man. You don't just look good out there hanging, and end up losing when you have the match.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's fascinating to talk about this stuff, and like you mentioned, the science of it. And we've tried to like start digging into it a little bit on this show, and we did the weight cutting show, and we did the show with the physical therapist talking about various injuries and how to rehabilitate them and stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of people like you, Harold, that have a great depth of knowledge, and it's fun to talk to you guys and like get this stuff out where everybody can look at it and learn from it. Because it's even though it's been around for a long time, in terms of like a professional level, we're still in our infancy. I mean, in terms of like how do you train, how do you get better? If you ask 10 different pullers, you get 10 different answers. So it's like you're helping us create like an encyclopedia of arm wrestling knowledge on here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I do, and it works. I stick with the basics though. I don't go way out, exotic things. This is really. How do you improve back pressure? Okay, you work hammers, and you work your front delts, these things like that. Get those strong, but do it on the table.
Yep.
Yeah, and the fact is, though, like if you sharpen your basics to a razor's edge, that's going to beat most advanced moves.
That's it.
It's the way it is. I think over the years, the basics were so good for a long time, and then everybody thinks advanced things are better.
Yeah.
And then they stop. It's like basketball. Nobody can shoot a free throw anymore. So
Right.
what?
You get it. Right. It's like, okay,
Kids
the
can.
basic is, you can go behind the back, do all this other stuff. Just shoot a 3 if you can. If you get good at it, that's it.
Right.
Basic, shoot free throws,
Mm-hmm.
and win championships,
That's so true. So true.
Stick with the basics, man.
Stick with the basics. I like that. That's good advice. Well, we've kept you on here about an hour and a half, Harold. I don't know if there's any. I know time flies in this show. I'm telling you, it just zips right by.
You guys was fun, man.
I know.
This is cool, man.
Nice.
Yeah, man. It was really great having you, Harold. Hope we can have you on again sometime soon, man.
All right, man.
I've learned a lot and really appreciate your time. And good luck, and I'll see you on the table soon, I hope.
All right, man. Josh and John, thanks for having me on, man.
All right.
No problem.
Adios.
All right, man.
Peace, man.
See you.
All righty.